the second session of the reinvention framework. Uh, in the last session, we had questions around organization goals and missions, goals and how do we connect both of them? There's the vision and the goals. So I have put together some slides based on the mail that I received from Vivek Kadam. Thank you so much for this, Vivek, for sharing this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it towards the end today, because I'll try and cover all the other growth pillars. And when we do that, maybe we could actually take examples from all the growth pillars when we're looking at the goals piece of it. Okay, so then it will be more full-fledged rather than just talking about right now. I think we've spoken only about vision and goals. We spoke about only the marketing, go-to-market strategies, right? So let me just try and cover the others. Since we are a small group, we can make it more interactive. And towards the end, the last 10-15 minutes, I will focus upon how do we stitch together from the vision to mission, purposes, goals, values. We'll try and see if we can stitch all of these together. Last time, on 2 days ago, we spoke about the organization visions and goals. We also spoke about the market coverage. We spoke about GCC, the geography, the customer, and the channels. And then we also spoke about competition. The 3 things there. Now, today, we're going to start talking about the product or the service strategy that you've got. Okay. So based on the customer based on your current products and services, I want you to go back and review. Remember, we spoke about review, reinvent, and reboot. So look at review, which of your product or your services are the most profitable? Which one of them have a higher demand, especially from your existing customers? That is one. The second one is that since we've identified new geographies, new customer segments, when we did the review of our go-to-market strategies, the GCC, remember, is there any other product which will fit in with this new market or new customer segments that we've identified? Right? These are the questions that you're going to ask about this. Which product or which services is it easy for me to sell? Now, if you have a product or a service which is completely new, where you have to convince the customer or even create awareness that there is a solution such as this, that is an uphill task. So whenever we have something like that, for example, we had somebody talking about a SaaS product, right? If this was, I like to give the example of the Bombay Shaving Company, because they've kind of changed the way men buy their grooming product. It's a B2C example, but it still applies here also, where they were one of the first companies to start selling men grooming products, completely online. 2, they were also the first company to create a subscription model, saying that if you go into if you go subscribe to us in a year, we will, let's say for every 2 months, we will send you this entire pack of your grooming, whether it is shampoo, whether it is soap or your cologne, etc. So we know that you will need it throughout the year, and on an average, one bottle will last for 2 months. So every 2 months, we will send the entire package to you, or you can create your own package. And if you subscribe for us, you will get the entire product at some discounted prices, whatever it is, right? So it's a great idea today, but it took them a lot of time to educate the customers about the advantages of buying grooming products online and buying on a subscription model. Right? So what did they do? They started with just selling individual products online itself. And only once the customers became comfortable buying grooming products online, especially men, then they introduced the subscription model. Initially they started only the subscription model, and they struggled with it. So they removed it. First took over the first challenge of ensuring customers get comfortable of buying grooming products online, and only then they started getting into the subscription model. So this is an example of if you have a product which is where the need is not yet been identified by the customer, can you introduce a smaller product which gets you inside the organization, makes them aware of the need, give them the opportunity to buy that. It's a no lower price price also means uh, lesser risk, so they will quickly buy it, and then they buy and then upsell to the larger one. That's an example of how you can do that, right? Look at which products are quick. It is easier for you to sell based even on your team and the locations that you are based off. There would be some products that is easier to sell in India, whereas some products that are easier to sell abroad, right? So based on and or your team also and the geographies that you're addressing. So actually evaluate each of your product or your service based on these parameters. One other thing which I find really powerful is, especially when you're looking at reinvention, is there any service of yours which you can productize? That means, is there a service that you're currently offering to your customer, which is taking away a lot of your time and effort, okay, to service the customer? Can you create it into a product? When I say a product, it doesn't always mean a physical product or a tech product. It could also be that it is packaged in such a way. For example, there was a company that I was working with in the in the tech space, and they were in the marketing technology, right? And one of the things was when they were running marketing campaigns for their for their organizations, these are global projects that they were running, digital project campaigns. They had to store a lot of the marketing images. Customers were asked to take photographs and upload it on their pages. So that those images, of course, were high and very heavy in some terms of size. So when they were building the corporate for whom they were running this campaign, they realized that there is going to be a lot of storage costs which they're going to be incurring. Okay, so what they did was they actually, and that has to be managed, etc., etc. So what they did was they actually converted that storage space. Instead of saying that we have to keep constantly updating that, looking at the removing the old photographs, putting archiving, etc. They just put it as a one line item in their pricing proposal, saying that if you want us to if you want extra storage space, this is the storage space that we're giving you. If you want extra storage space, then we are going to, this is an additional cost that is going to be there. If you want to archive this on your servers, then it's going to be costing you so much. If you want to archive it from our servers, it's going to cost you so much. So they had given some competitions around that. So what they did was, the time that it's required for them to manage this data was actually converted into a pricing item for them, right? Which they would have never done. It could have been free of cost. So this is one example on how you can, one of your services, you can convert it into a product and put a price, some service which you've been giving free, but it is of high value to your customer. If you're able to make that into a product, into a pricing item, you will see that there's, and the customer with a value, they're ready to pay for it also. I can give you a lot more examples, but for now, this is one of the examples that I would like to share with you. This is another example of a product strategy. A fellow coach, in fact, my own business mentor, he gives examples. I'm stealing this example from him. This is not my case. Okay, he was mentoring a company which was doing commercial refrigeration here in South India, and during the lockdown, of course, the refrigeration business had got impacted. So what they did was they spent that time to do a lot of their market research. Quite often, they were before the pandemic, their sales team was struggling because they had substitutes from China market, which is much more cheaper. So during the pandemic, they actually did this whole research. They spent time on producing this new range of products, and this they started, and then started once the market opened up, they started selling it to their customers as a substitution for importing it. and better than the China market. Okay, so an example of how actually created a completely new revenue stream with a new product introduction. So look at your products, question yourself, can I convert some of these products, services into products, or can I add new products which is easy for my customers to buy in? Or can I look at adding new products for the new customers or new market segments which I have identified? Okay. Now, for a lot of us, I understand it is not very easy to introduce new products, to manufacture, to design, or to even research new products. The answer for those companies is to look at collaboration. When you collaborate, there are two things that you can benefit from. One is collaboration for market coverage, where you collaborate with another business who is present in a particular geography or a particular customer segment, or is using a particular channel. For example, Amazon is a collaboration because for organizations who've been selling it physically can now sell it online. That's another way of market coverage part of it, right? So that's another example of collaboration. Of course, that's a paid collaboration also, right? So that increases your market coverage. The other one is also the product strategy. So if you do not have a particular product, is it possible for you to collaborate with somebody who has this product? And this could be a product which is above or below your existing product. So that means when I say above or below, one of the powerful collaborations. So to remember, whom do I need to collaborate with? So think about your customer and think about what products or services does your customer need before, during, and after they purchase from you. Okay, those products and services can become your additional product strategy. You can add those and increase your product strategy. So again, think about what products or services will your customers need before, during, and after they buy the services from you. Going back to one of the earlier examples I had given about a freight forwarding organization, right? So if somebody is so if the customer is looking at freight forwarding services from the client, from the service provider, okay. Now, between forwarding this, they may need temporary warehousing, right? So one way is now it's not possible for everybody to own large warehouses, but they can always collaborate with the existing warehouses. And when they talk to the customer and say, yes, we would be able to store your products on a temporary basis, maybe at the shipyard, or maybe at the what do you call that, before the tolls, or before entering into a state or a country. So all of these things can be such a collaboration. So they have added warehousing services along with the freight forwarding services only through a collaboration. It's an example of how you can increase your product or your services by collaboration. This is what we actually talk about today. V-commerce is all based on that. And of course, in all of these things, there will be a revenue share. And this is a no-brainer. It's okay to have a revenue share and get some revenue and not lose a customer, which is much more important than have absolutely no revenue and no customers because you just focused on limited products. If you think it's an opportunity for you to use this, then this is definitely one of the ideas. Okay. So now if you see, we've spoken about the vision, goals, the market and the competition, and the product and service. So each of these, you can actually reinvent your business in each of these growth pillars. Now, next, we are going to be looking at marketing and your branding. So now that we know who's our customers, that we are going to the customers that we are reinvented, when we understood what geographies they are present in, we understood what channels are we going to use to reach those customers. We've understood what products and what services are we going to position to these customers. Now it's time for us to get into marketing and branding. Okay. Now, when you're talking about marketing and branding, I like to start with what are your brand elements, your logos, your font, if you have a tagline, what do they mean to you? And that also has to be conveyed to the customer or the audience. What is your brand strategy? What is your online and offline presence? And I've spent a lot of time in my last webinar on the online digital strategies that you can have. So I'm not going to get into details over here. And what is your value proposition for your customer persona? Now, value proposition is again a combination of uh, the product or the service that you're offering and the competition, and how do you distinguish your product or your service from the competition. And for many of us, where we say that again, I offer the same product or the service which my competitor is providing, especially when it is brokerships, or you're an agent, or you're a distributor, you don't have your own products. So you're all actually offering the same product as or the service as somebody else. Then what will distinguish you in the eye of the customer is your brand. So if you are able to create a brand which is more visible and which is more powerful than your competitors, that itself will help you in reinventing your business and getting better business growth. So I see SMEs, this is one area where we don't give a lot of focus upon, and it can be done. It's one of the examples I gave about what are the things that an SME should learn from large corporates, and one is about their brand visibility. So how do you actually do that, right? Think about how do you create awareness, how do you show your credibility, and how do you create the need for your products. Okay. Explore social media, and I've spoken a lot about this earlier, so I'm not going to talk about that. Digital marketing, etc. Recommendations and reference, again, this is very interesting. With the SMEs, we have so many recommendations, we have so many references. We talk about that all our businesses, the biggest lead generation strategy is always word of mouth. But that word of mouth, which is our biggest strength, is actually not converted into recommendations and reference. Right? We don't capture, we hesitate to ask for recommendations, we hesitate to ask for reference. And if we do get that, we don't know what to do with that. It's not visible. I see a lot of organizations tell me that this customer really appreciates, especially auto ancillary who work with the larger brands. The parent or the OEM brands, they really appreciate the work, the quality, or the people in the organization. They have emails about it. They have voice notes. They're called for meetings. They're given an award. They're given a recognition. But that is not made visible to other customers. It's not even made visible sometimes to the entire organization itself. So this is like a gem which is already available inside your business, but you're not actually showcasing it out for people. So definitely that's another area. Investing in a marketing and a branding budget, small budgets. It's okay to start small, but start it. Okay. And especially now with cold calling, it's becoming more and more difficult. I'm sure all of you will agree with that. It becomes very difficult for our salespeople or for us to just simply walk into an organization, which we could do earlier, especially now where, you've got security guards, you've got receptionists, and you've got secretaries. We've got 3-4 levels that we have to cross before we actually get to speak to the decision maker. So cold calling is definitely very difficult, not happening, it's not giving you those results. If word of mouth is giving your results, make it into a conscious word of mouth strategy. Digital marketing, brand visibility, all of these is going to contribute towards your sales and your marketing. Your marketing represents, that means people will recognize your brand, and sales, your sales people will find it easier to get meetings and to close sales because of the efforts which you're putting in right now on your marketing and your branding. So before I go to the next one, I'm going to stop and I'm going to check if you have any questions on these. So we spoke about product and service strategies, and we spoke about your marketing and your branding strategies. Any questions on this before I move to the organization structure? No questions? Okay, so let me ask some questions. In terms of your product and your services, anybody feels that I have it, it's an opportunity for me to collaborate and increase the service or the product offerings? Anybody here?
Yes, we are working with because since we are into ingredients and formulation business,
Mm-hmm.
so we work with the R&D labs. Then
Mm-hmm.
we work with the contract manufacturers. So
Mm-hmm.
because our ingredients and product goes into their services. Said it's a part of their service also.
Got that.
So we are trying to collaborate with them and try to get the we want to magnify our lead to maximize to reach the maximum customers.
Fantastic. Great, Vivek. Thank you for sharing that. What's interesting is, what you're saying is that your own products become a part of the product or the services offered by your customers, right? So it's a B2B2B kind of a thing, right? It's not the end customer or the end consumer that you're selling to. Is that correct, Vivek?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So here's another thought for which you can also check it out with your collaborators, which is a co-branding opportunity. Okay, a lot of the IT companies I've seen this do that, right? So what I mean by co-branding is your whoever is your collaborators, they're also in a way, they are your distributors. They're the one who are going to take your product, take your product, do something, add something to it, and create another product, and then send it to the end customers as such, right? So co-branding is where if both of you feel that there is a need for us to do marketing and branding, but we have limited resources, then it is one opportunity where you can put your money together and you can budgets together, and you can co-brand it to the end customers, which is increasing the demand for their products, because of which your customers will buy more products from you, and so both your revenues will also increase in that way. There's a business growth for both of you. So here I'm talking about collaboration for even your marketing activities.
Because
That's
in our case, because what happens is that since our products are used with a confidentiality agreement, so
okay.
it's very difficult for reference.
Oh, okay, I got that. I got that. I got then. Yeah, that's a different case study. That's a different case situation. I understand that. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe that's another thing that we can talk separately. But for the others, this is a good example. Um, I can give you the example of one of the clients that we worked with. This is an international spectacle brand. Okay, and they sell spectacles through all the spectacle stores that you're seeing across the globe, country, right? These are standalone stores are also there, and then you've got the larger branded chain of stores also are there. So when this new European brand wanted to enter into India, they the option in India that they are but 3 or 4 what we call the master franchisees through whom you can enter into India. So when they tied up with a master franchisee, the plan that we put together for them was, and you will see this you will see this in all the spectacle stores outside on their the what do you call that the store facade which is there. It has the brand name, though they may be selling everything from a Ray-Bans to Gucci or G&G or all of those brands. This brand will also one brand is actually showcased at the facade of the of the store. So and along with the store's name itself, right? So that's a co-branding. So they actually pay the stores to do that. That is one level. And when they run campaigns, marketing campaigns, They run marketing campaigns with the in the geographic. So in, like for example, in Bangalore, Indira Nagar area, they will run it with one of the stores who's ready to invest along with the brand on the marketing piece of it. Right. So it's an interesting thing that they actually did, and they were quickly able to reach to all the stores across the country. Some, I think they said 11,000 stores that they reached out to in their first campaign. It's an example of some of the marketing was funded by them, and some of them was co-branded with. They did it with. I think Sunglass Hut, for example, was one of the brands that they worked with also, who was ready to invest in them. So it's a co-branding effort that they did. So an example of how collaboration can help you even in marketing, aside from, of course, sales also. So let's get back to this now. Um, so we spoke about the four. Now let's start looking at the organization structure and people. You have created a vision. You have created you know the market coverage, which geographies, which customer segments you're going to be going to, what kind of products are you going to be positioning, what branding and marketing that you need to do to be able to reach those customers, right? But who is going to deliver all of these things? So you need to have the right team and the right team structure for you to be able to deliver all of these things. Now, yes, in my last session, one of the, I think Nikhil, somebody was pointing out on that there are different types of goals that is also beyond the revenue goals, right? So in this case, if you have a goal, which is in terms of increasing your revenue, for example, is one of your goals, then your sales department needs a closer focus. You need to review your sales department, see what are the gaps over there, and fill in those gaps. It could be people, it could be processes, it could be technology. Whereas if your goal was to increase production and ensure that you're increasing your production capability or capacity, then the focus is on your production team and the structure that you have over there. Whether it is to be some is whether you need to have more blue collar jobs, or you need to have management production management people, or you need somebody who is going to restructure the entire production capability of your organization itself, right? So whichever is your goal, if you see those goals, you may decide that that related product related division within that also it gets cascaded. The goals get cascaded into that uh, other branches, other divisions within the organization, right? And what are the other resources which you require? Technology is definitely one of them, right? Can you use technology for each and every, you can actually look at every aspect of your business, whether it is your marketing, talking about digital marketing, whether it is sales, we're looking at your CRM software. Would you benefit from moving beyond Excel sheets? What are the others? What are the CRMs that you can use? What are the metrics that you're not able to measure in your sales pipelines? All of those things can be actually addressed by technology. Whether it is your people management, we're looking at motivation, your performance management, we're looking at your compensation, competency management. All of these things can be handled by an HRMS. Assessments, reviews of your team, all of those can be managed by your HRMS software. Even your field sales, now there's a huge software, separate software to manage large field sales also. It could be that. It could be productivity measurements within your organization, being your production, even in your manufacturing production, there are a lot of software that can improve your entire. I may say automation can be mechanical automation or technology or IT automation also. So there are all of these things that are available. It's time for you to look at them and see which part of your operations are impacted by time stealers or effort stealers. That means which activities are taking longer than what is happening in the market, what is the average in the industry, or which activity is taking more number of people, which activity is taking more number of days for you to do, or it is not, it has more and more errors. So there's any of these activities can be addressed to technology investments, right? And of course, to do all of these things, what are the funds that you require? Whether it is marketing, new product development, new customer development, new geography development, branding, or in this case, technology investment. All of these are going to require finance. So what is the finance that you require to manage any or all of these, and ultimately so that you can meet your goals? This is the next thing that you have to look at. So this is a big piece. I'm just taking one slide because I think this is one area where SMEs are actually doing good, right? So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. The next one is on the people management. So for a lot of SMEs, the key differentiator is always on the quality of service that they provide to their customer. And the quality of service is highly dependent upon the quality of your employees. When you say that I want to become, your goal or your vision is to become the trusted vendor or partner for your customers, that is only possible through your people. And in very interestingly, I've seen a paradox which exists with SMEs when it comes to their people. At one level, they've got employees who've been with them for ages, 15 years, 20 years. It's not at all unusual to have some people in your teams who've been there for more than a decade, especially in the SME business. That is one level. On the other side, there is also a higher challenge to retain the younger and mid-level managers. There is a higher attrition over there. Reasons can be because they are looking at larger brands, they are moving away for better salaries, or better geography, or better work environments, etc. Right? So both these realities actually coexist in the SMEs. So it is even more important for an SME to focus on the HR. This is one area where I find 95% of the SMEs have a huge opportunity to reinvent themselves. That is on the people practices, right? Identify what are the roles and responsibilities of each designation in your organization, not the people. First, identify the roles and responsibilities in your organization. Then map it with the team that you have. I see people do the opposite. They identify the roles and responsibilities of their team members first. When we do that, what happens is we actually fit the roles and responsibilities based on the individual rather than on the designation. And we don't even realize when we are doing this, because of which there are these hidden gaps in our whether it is sales or marketing or production departments. Okay. The next one is to motivate their workforce. Again, when I see this, one of the reasons I say this is, again, it's a very paradox that exists. At one level, you've got a workforce that is motivated to work with an SME, with your organization, very happy to work with your organization, and is not looking at outside opportunities. On the other side, there are people within the organization who have very nicely slumped into their comfort zones. Okay, and they're not ready to do more than what is required. So how do you actually bridge the gap between both of these things? How do you create a workforce which is excited to all the reinvention activities you're talking about today? Right? Because the reinvention is much more than business as usual. It's about reviewing all your finding the gaps, talking about them, bringing in new systems, questioning the norms, thinking like a startup. All of those things, it's not something which only the founder is going to be doing. It's the workforce who's there with you who's going to be doing this, right? So how do you create that motivation? That's definitely one challenge, and we need to address that, right? And while we're doing this, create an environment where we respect each other's, not just the leaders, but the peers. How do we create an environment where there is less of sirgiri and more of we are in this together, we are a team, and we need to work to do this together so that we can achieve that goal, the vision that we spoke about at the first. So this is definitely one area which requires a complete upheaval for a lot of organizations. And if you see, I am not talking about, when I'm talking about people, I'm not talking about attendance, recruitment. I'm talking about something which is much more deeper than that. Okay. And the result of all of this will be seen in the culture of your organization. So with that, if we have all of these, right now we've got the 5 growth pillars. Then you focus on each of them, wearing the reinvention glasses, and say, what do I reinvent in each of these areas? That's when your complete business plan gets actually happens. If you're working on each of these 5 areas, automatically your business plan gets ready. Okay, so what do you do when we are doing the business plan? So if you see today, based on what we spoke about last week and this week, earlier session and this session, your business plan is now more than just an Excel sheet. It is more than your revenue goals. It's not talking about I need to earn 10 crores this year, and 10 crores divided by 12 months, and this is my entire business plan. No, it is a lot more than that. It's about every goal. How are you going to achieve it? Which market, which products, which markets, which customer segments? How do you do the marketing to them? What kind of people you require? We are actually covering all of it. And the areas where we don't have information, we are making some assumptions, and we are actually writing those assumptions down. So this is your what if scenario. Okay, what if tomorrow the markets become more difficult considering the current pandemic? What if the pandemic does not impact business and it actually opens up new opportunities for me? Both opportunities are out. So you can make an assumption. Agar ye hota hai, then these are the things I will do. If that happens, this is the thing I can do. So when the situation does arise, we are not sitting and thinking at that time what to do, because we've already thought, we've made those assumptions, we've thought about some of the activity. You may not have the 100% exact plan, but you have put some thoughts into it. Okay. The other thing I talk about is a business health scan. This is where you look at, again, every aspect that we spoke about, and like you do your physical health checkup, you actually do your health scan for your business and say, if this is healthy, is your marketing healthy, is your sales pipeline healthy, is your people strategy healthy, is your organization healthy? And this is not a one-time activity, something that you do regularly, like an annual checkup. You keep doing it regularly, right? When we say, and one of the most common things I see, right, that I want to grow my business by 50% this year, 100% next year. It is a great goal. Okay, it's an audacious goal. But just because you say it, it will not happen. You have to look at each of the 5 pillars of growth that we spoke about to get that 50% and 100% growth. And the health checkup on each of those aspects to see where do you need to work upon. And the other thing which I generally work whenever I work with numbers or actually any business goals, okay, is that we talk about what is the best case possible. We plan for the best case, right? And we work towards the best case. But we also identify what is the worst case. What's the worst case that can happen in the next 1 year? If the market gets impacted again, the pandemic, that's the worst case. Prepare for that, at least outline, think through that. Okay, because if you're focusing only on the best case, it is possible that if the worst case happens, you will stumble because you've never been looked into it. And this is the most common reasons why business plans fail, because business plan is all many people, when for them, business plan is always the best case. It's not about, if this does not work, what else can I do? That second level of thinking is missing. Okay, so look at your plan your activities towards your best case, but also think about your worst case. And the reality is that in between these two, that's what is going to happen. You're going to achieve something which is in between the most likely case. Okay, so now that we have thought about each of these growth pillars, and remember, we're talking about for each of them, what is the goal for each of these areas? What is the goal for your product, for your branding, for your organization structure, for your people, for your marketing, for your sales, for your competition? What is your goal for each of these? Identify that. We are asking all these questions, right? To these goals, you define what are the strategies that you're going to do, define the actions to ensure those strategies are happening, and then you measure the results. And for every unit, location, etc., that you have, look at the profitability for that. The reason I'm saying the profitability is because a lot of organizations are very happy with the top line, right? But when it comes to the bottom line, most of them are unhappy. So when we talk about the reinvestment, if you see throughout, I have spoken about the profitability of each child. What is the profitability? Which products are more profitable? Which customers are more profitable? What kind of sales strategies? What channels are most profitable for you? That's what you need to keep looking at always. Profit is not a dirty word. Whether you are hiring, branding, training, whatever you're doing, look at your profitability. And I had earlier said, a lot of organizations, when they're looking at reinvention, they're looking at the time only when they're in decline. And the decline stage, the mindset is always about cost saving. Unfortunately, cost saving, while it will save the business, it will also kill the business. So suggestion is, before you reach that stage, start looking at reinventing your business. And of course, so that's the end of what I want to talk about. So we have spoken about now 5 pillars, and the complete culmination of all these 5 pillars is the complete business plan. So I've already shared, this is a 6 weeks group mentoring that I'm doing, which actually covers exactly this. I've taken what I've been talking about and converted them, and saying that it's very difficult for all of us to know exactly what to do, for what strategies are going to work for my organization. But it may work for somebody else, it may not work for me. So that's why we kind of put this whole thing. It's a small group. We will only work between 8 to 10 people in one cohort. So I'm not going to add more over there. For those of you who are interested, you can reach out to me on my email, or if you feel there's somebody else who will benefit from this, you can also refer them to me. The entire video is available on the Wadhwani Foundation. So if anybody is interested who's missed it out, can go through the earlier videos. Forget about the group mentoring. I'm talking about the entire reinvention framework itself. So now let's get into the Q&A. And then we will spend some 5-10 minutes on the vision, mission, goal, purpose, all of those things. Any questions till now about, I think we spoke about organization, people, and the business plan. Any questions around that? No questions?
For us, people is a big challenge because to retain people,
Hmm.
because what happened that we train the people, we
Mm-hmm.
spend money on them for training, and our, let's say, the similar kind of businesses, they just pick up because they know what we do. So they always try to, and the people look for number, how much they are getting.
Correct.
We are not the best paymasters in the industry, but very innovative and very different business we do.
Mm-hmm.
But the training part what we impart, that is very useful for the other business also into similar category. So
Mm.
what we see, what we saw that we spend a lot of time, and our company has become training institute. So, but anyhow, but that's a part of a business, what I
Correct.
feel, and we need to rework because we actually, I want to discuss with you any other business model where where we can, we want to share the revenue with our partners, growth
Mm-hmm.
partners. I don't consider as an employee; they are
Mm-hmm.
my revenue partners,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to share something with them also. And
Mm-hmm.
anything new HR policy or HR model we can, where we can work, not only marketing, even the HR also. Let's say the admin, accounts, or the operation team should work on the total revenue sharing. Whether we can do
Absolutely.
something. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've shared some very, very good points. Okay. First one is thanks for acknowledging that HR is always a challenge. Hiring is always a challenge, right? The second thing is for many organizations, there is one or two positions where there is always a high attrition. Okay. And whenever we come across this situation, I talk about how we should actually anticipate that attrition and make it a part of our hiring strategies. Right? That's how a lot of larger organizations do. For example, front end field sales, there is always for new joinees, there is always a very high attrition. So we plan for that. We know that if we hire 10 people, out of them, actually, maybe six will stay with us for more than 6 months. Out of the six, there are only maybe three who will stay with us for more than 1 year. Out of those three, there's only one who will actually grow into a manager role. As an example, right? So when we know this is the situation, I know as SMEs, we can't say if we want to hire, we need 10 people, we can't go and hire 20 people to make up for the attrition. So I know that's not possible. But what can we do is this: create an entire hiring experience which will, uh, wow the potential employee to join your organization. Make them a part of your successes, not your challenges, but make them a part of all your successes. Um, going back to the field sales example, if first 6 months is when you have a high attrition, what can you do in the first 6 months to encourage, motivate, and show the career opportunities within your organization in the first 6 months? What can you do to um, mm, uh, give more opportunities for the person to prove themselves, right? That's I'm talking about that six in that six, not in terms of just simply hiring 20 people instead of 10 people, but that's first 6 months. It's like, and it works for, actually this works for everybody, it even works for your customers. How do you create a success story in the first initial timeline is the most important. So when we know that we're with the customers, the same thing with our employees also, right? How do you create roles which would give deserving people more responsibilities, give them more free hand to do things, to experiment, to come back to you with reinvention strategies? How do you involve them in your reinvention strategies? All of these things we can actually add value to what you're saying. Of course, then there is your HR policies, your compensation, your rewards and recognition programs, your incentives, all of these can also be designed separately in a manner that would again encourage the employees to stay with you for a longer period of time and give more than your 9 to 6. A classic example is startups when they give. Why do you think startups are giving, ESOPs? The ESOP value may not, as actually monetary value will be zero because it's bound with so many terms and conditions. But this is a way of recognizing, and those ESOPs are also divided into something which is, when you join, you get this. When you spend 1 year with us, you do this. When you do another milestone, you get this. They're actually created the ESOP as a part of a motivation or an incentive model. So what can we do which is similar, maybe not ESOP, but something which is staggered and comes in, and is related to the milestones you want your team to achieve for your business, and the milestones that you want them to achieve for their own career growths. So these are the things that you can actually put into place, which is revolutionary. It is not something which is very common, but it can be done based on how ready you are to reinvent your entire HR game for your employees.
Thank you.
Long answer, I'm sorry, but I
No,
wanted to
no,
share
that's
some
okay.
examples there.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So in that case, I will spend some time with about the question which was proposed to me last time around the vision and goals and mission. Vivek, do I have your permission to share your statements, or if I don't have it, then I will not talk about it in detail?
No, yeah, please do share.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think all of us should say thank you to Vivek for giving us this opportunity to actually use our live case example rather than only the theory piece of it. Okay. So let me get this one. Okay. So the first one is about the purpose. So we'll try and cover all these five. The first one is the purpose, right? For all of you, purpose is the main reason. It's your why. Why are you? Why does your organization exist? Okay, it is aspirational. It's something which is out there. It may not be something that you can actually completely achieve, but it is your, you may not achieve it in the next 1 year, 5 year, maybe not even in this generation, but you're here to to work towards that. That is your purpose. Okay, so with sorry, again, let me just so Vivek, would you want to share what is your purpose?
Yes, please. So what we do, we unlock the power of marine biotechnology to create
Mm,
value to
mm,
enrich human life. So our business is B2B,
mm,
and we work in personal care, healthcare, feed and agri input industry. So
mhm,
we provide them ingredients. So in turn, because what we do is, our value proposition
mm.
is to create a competitive edge and be a growth. Say we help them to for higher growth and the profit also to our customer.
Yeah.
So and in turn, since our technology is different, because the
Mm,
product and the value for the our consumers, our customers consumer.
mm,
So we want to enrich their life, because marine biotechnology is very unknown field today,
mhm,
and we have a very innovative products from there, from the marine biotechnology, which we help our customers in personal care, healthcare, feed and agri input industry to
mhm.
create value to enrich human life.
Okay. So you're saying your purpose is to create value to enrich human life,
Yes.
right? That's
Yeah.
that's your overall purpose. It's why you're doing the business
Yes.
overall, right?
Yes. We unlock the
So
power of marine bio, but in marine biotechnology space.
okay, in that in mind. Okay, that will do. Okay, so for all of us, for the others who are over here, right? The purpose is not about your like Vivek was sharing, it is not about your financial aspirations, right? It is the driving force for which you have created your business. Okay, and you can ask questions like, what is the reason that you started the business? And for quite a few of us, it has been many years. So maybe how has that reason changed in the last couple of years? Okay, and what is driving you to continue with this business, which is aside from profitability and finance? That's what your purpose is all about. Okay, yeah, then comes your vision statement. It's how you are going to change the world, the impact that you are going to create. It's also futuristic. One easy way to define your vision is to think about your future and envision that you've already reached there. And and you describe that future to yourself. That's an example of your vision. So Vivek, would you want to share what is your vision?
Yes, we want to be a knowledge-driven marine biotech company, leading
Hmm,
marine biotech company,
hmm,
and we want to be a nimble and knowledge-driven because we want to be an asset-light business.
hmm,
What I feel that every time you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
hmm,
There is existing because I don't know to tell you the strategy what we
hmm,
how
hmm,
really this vision has come, but we what we do what we want to be a knowledge driven company.
hmm,
So
hmm.
we are basically our business is import, export and distribution business and some value addition. So value
Okay.
addition we do in personal care and feed
Hmm.
business. So we
Okay.
have a two contract manufacturing sites. Through that we create some value addition, but our vision is to be a knowledge-driven marine biotech company, leading marine biotech company.
And what's the impact that you plan to create by being a knowledge driven organization?
So we want to maximize our reach in these four verticals, whatever the
Okay.
personal care, healthcare, feed, and agri-food industry. And our
Okay.
purpose is already there. What is we want
So
to enrich
so
human life.
when you maximize your reach,
Yes,
when you achieve all this that you want to achieve,
yes.
how will that future look for you? What will happen if you achieve whatever you've said you will actually, whatever
Yes,
you've said?
because yeah, because I have something in my mind that we want because I have a model in
Mhm,
front of me that our company should be like this.
mhm,
I'm going to say because what we do is we as I said we are into import and export business.
mhm.
So in terms if you're talking about in terms of value or the this
The
one.
vision. So, what's the impact that will happen,
Yes.
or the impact that will be created once you achieve your goals, your purpose? That is your vision.
Yes. So people in these four verticals
Mm-hmm.
will be knowing about our company as as a marine biotech company, and
Mm-hmm.
my other my understanding is that whoever because today also anything happens in India generally today though we are not digitally available, people come to us
Mm-hmm.
through our references, must say through various medias and on conferences or exhibitions to us that okay fine the Ilam Marine exists and
Mm-hmm.
we want to come to them for the new product development or some value addition for their existing products.
Mm-hmm.
That's my my way of looking at things.
So
If
you're
you have
saying,
anything to share.
so okay, so you're saying your vision is the four segments that you want to impact.
Yes,
They are they are your first choice of products, services, whatever
yes,
it is.
yes,
That's your vision. You're understanding that. So you're
yes,
saying what you're going to be doing.
yes.
You're saying what you're going to be doing, but the vision is still has to be clear about the impact that you're going to create when all of these things actually happen.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes,
we can talk in detail a little bit more when we want to break it down on an individual basis. Okay.
yes, please.
The next I'm talking about is the mission.
Yes.
Okay, the mission is the actually the breaking down of your vision and saying that in 1 year, what are we going to do? 3 years, what are we going to do? 5 years, what are we going to do? It's almost like defining the path with all the milestones, right? So what are we going to do to ensure that our vision actually becomes a reality for us?
Yes.
So have you defined a mission also?
Yes.
Okay, what is the mission?
Our mission is to offer innovative, safe, efficacious, value added products, and I'm going to say the the mm, cost effective, price aligned with the market
Mm-hmm.
in the field of human and animal wellness. That's our mission.
Okay, okay. So, okay, can I be really honest with you, Vivek?
Yes, please.
Some of those words are quite big. I need a dictionary to
Okay.
understand.
Okay.
Okay, make it simple for people, unless your audience is the kind who understands all of these things.
Okay.
Right? If they need a dictionary to understand all of those things, to be honest, how many of us is actually going to go and take out a dictionary to understand our organization's mission?
Okay. So the
Right?
mission is for the internal, because this mission is for the external customers also and internal customers also.
Yes, it can be internal and external. I'm saying if make it simpler for people to understand, because the easier it is for them to understand, the faster they will imbibe it.
Okay. Yeah.
If they're not able to understand it, it becomes something which is sounding very fancy, पर मेरा मतलब क्या है मुझे समझ में नहीं आता, तो मेरे लिए तो नहीं है.
Okay.
मतलब it's meant for the senior leadership, मेरे लिए तो नहीं है. That's what the employees will think, and the outsiders will think sounds fancy, ठीक है, पर ठीक है, company के बारे में, मतलब I don't have any anything to play on it. मेरा कोई role नहीं है उसमें.
ठीक है. Yeah.
So
No
that's
problem.
something which I would try and make it's more action oriented about when will you achieve in the first year, second year, third year, some numbers there.
Yeah.
It's almost reaching your goals, right? But other mission can change, right? This year it is this, next year it is that. So your missions can change, whereas your vision is more broad based.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the last one is the goal. Okay. And I think the goal is something which is easiest described with your SMART goals, right?
Yes.
Make it specific, make it measurable. What is the other ones we've got? Attainable, relevant, and time bound, right? So how, in the business, what is the end goal that you're going to be achieving? What is the target you're going to be achieving? And you can have multiple goals. Like I said, for every aspect of your every growth pillar, you can have a goal. Okay, and you can have a primary goal, and then you can have secondary goals also. So what is the goal that you have identified for yourself, Vivek?
So because as we discussed, we have identified goals for 2023, and because we have timelines and the responsibility, once a responsible person for it also. So what we are going to intend to do. So our revenue growth, we are looking for 10 crores. That is our goal. And then the second is, let's say, to align this, what we have to do is we have to build a digital spine for people, process, and products. That is my responsibility. And my colleague and me will be talking about, let's say, building the B2B and the social media platform, let's say, for this. And we are working on a hub and spoke model. So that is a basic strategy we have identified how we are going to work. And the HR and logistics, because there we are working how, because we are adding people into personal care, healthcare, and feed and agri input for marketing people. We are going to identify. So HR, operations, and we need to identify a process, well-defined processes for HR and the operations, logistics also, which is a core part of us. And the accounts and finance, it's outsourced business for us. We outsourced. So that is already exist, and that is well taken care of.
Fantastic. I love that you've given separate goals for each aspect of your business. I love that you've also identified who's going to be driving that goal.
Yes.
Okay, so that's also very great, and you've of course put timelines around that itself, right?
Yes.
So if your broad goals are actually done very well, I would be very curious to know how you've broken down those goals into actionable items as such, right? So you have your overarching goals are there. How you're actually breaking it down for each one, each goals, how you're breaking it down to the activities and the strategies that you're going to be implementing.
Right.
So I would love to know more about that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing which I've added is values. Okay. I know there was no question around values, but this is something which is very close to me. I see a lot of the large corporates have these fancy values that are put up on their walls. Okay. And these are the guiding principles. These are the uh, behaviors that you want people to exhibit, your organization to exhibit. Okay. But for me, the reason I put this is that many a times those values are actually uh, one, they mean different things to different people. Okay. So, for example, when we talk about transparency as a value, transparency, how do you show that transparency as a value to your customers? How do you show the transparency as a value to your employees? How do you replicate uh, trans- transparency to your vendors, to your service providers, to your collaborators? For each person, the word transparency means different things. You have to do different things for each segment to say that yes, this is an organization that is actually transparent, right? So for me, while you are defining your values, and it could be 4, 5 core values, what is more important is to have a definition for each of your values and saying, this is what I mean by transparency in my business. And make sure the segment which is responsible to implement the value, to showcase that particular value, is aware that this has to be incorporated in their, even in their day-to-day behavior. For example, if you're saying transparency for customers, what does it mean? It means, for me in my business, it means that I will tell my customers, if you're in a business where, for example, again, I'm using freight forwarding and customs thing. There's a lot of documentation. There are lots of rules and regulations from different countries, from our own countries, from different ports, different carriers, etc. I am going to be transparent about sharing all of these information to my customers in a manner where there is no ambiguity in what has to be done. That could be transparency, right? So that means you have, that means, what does it mean? That when you are, your pricing proposal actually has to be designed in a manner where all of these elements are actually displayed. That could be a transparency, or it could be something else also, right? So transparency for my HR would be that all the assessments that we do for my employees, okay, are actually going to be shared with the individual. It's not a hidden assessment. So I'm going to be open about that. That is what transparency. Now, it is possible for you, while transparency is a value, this HR wala thing is not something that you want to do. That's why it's important for you to define what does transparency mean for you when it comes to each segment of that. So that's the last thing that I wanted to kind of share, because I've seen a lot of organizations miss this little bit piece of it. Okay, so it was a quick example here. Vivek, I don't think you've shared values with me, right?
I have values with us because I have not shared with you,
I
but
have not shared. Okay,
our
okay.
I'll share you in person because our
Okay.
statement, strategy, and everything is with me.
Very nice.
We will in our personal discussion we will share with that engagement.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Will do. Will do. So with that, I know I've taken extra time, but I wanted to cover those questions. I hope there's some clarity for people between the organization vision, goals, and if you see how the goals, like Vivek gave the example, is actually his goals percolated across all the revenue, or all the growth pillars, not just only the revenue piece of it, right? So that's an example of how your vision gets translated into goals, and goals into strategies, and then strategies will actually get into actions as such, right? So with that, I have completed my webinar, 2 sessions webinar on reinvention framework for your business growth. This framework is a tried and tested system that I have used. Not just me, I know a lot of other business coaches and mentors also use. So try to give you a lot of case studies and examples of organizations who've used this. I'm hoping that all of this will help you define your own reinvestment frameworks.